Welcome to 7shifts Academy, guided lessons for restaurant workers, owners, and operators to gain the knowledge they need to grow their businesses and succeed in their careers. 7shifts is the all-in-one team management platform built for restaurants. With our tools, restaurant managers can work more efficiently and improve performance, freeing up more time and energy to focus on delivering great service to their customers. In this video, we are going to talk about what a restaurant feasibility study is, why it's an important part of restaurant creation, and then we'll go over the different parts of a feasibility study. So let's get started. Are you to turn that idea of a restaurant into a reality? Congratulations! You're on the path to becoming a restaurateur, along with 2/3 of a million other people in the United States alone. Needless to say, you've got your work cut out for you in this industry. Aside from challenges like finding staff members and addressing high food costs, you've also got to make yourself stand out against the competition. But it can be done, and the first step to getting investors, landlords, and potential customers excited about your restaurant is with a restaurant feasibility study. In this video, we'll define a feasibility study, outline the sections it should have, and identify the best practices you should follow when conducting one. We'll answer the obvious question first. Just what is a feasibility study? A feasibility study is an analysis of the practicality of a project or idea. People who run a feasibility are trying to evaluate the necessary steps to bring an idea to fruition and determine if those steps and the desired outcome are feasible. The study concludes when all parties involved decide if the project should move forward or if it should be abandoned. Any businesses doing a feasibility study might want to look at how attainable their financial projections are and how impactful their marketing would be. For a restaurant, running a feasibility study might involve answering the following questions. Will my concept stand out in this market? Will my concept appeal to the people in this market? Will my projected revenue exceed my costs? Will I hit my financial goals? And if so, when? If this sounds familiar to your business plan, that's okay, it should. But it's important to remember that a restaurant's feasibility analysis is not a replacement for its business plan. The feasibility study is more of a companion piece to a business plan to find out if the ideas you fleshed out in the business plan can reasonably and successfully be brought to life. Another factor unique to the feasibility study is the ultimate decision of whether or not to move forward with the project, referred to as the go or no-go decision. If all signs point to profitability and practicality, you've likely reached a go decision and should be able to convince others and yourself that your restaurant could work. If not, you've reached a no-go decision. That means you'll have to go back to the drawing board and rethink your location, concept, pricing, and/or expenses if you still want to make your restaurant idea work. Now, let's go over the outline of everything that's in a feasibility study. A restaurant's feasibility study should toe the line between brief and detailed. There's opportunity to highlight countless factors in any feasibility study, but you should resist the temptation to over-elaborate in areas where it's not necessary. That said, investors and stakeholders will want to know exactly how you reached your conclusions. So when it comes to financial projections, don't skimp on the details. To help organize your ideas, research, and conclusions, make sure your restaurant's feasibility contains the following sections. Section 1, the executive summary. Your feasibility study should start off with an executive summary. However, this should be the last section that you write. This is because your executive summary should be a few paragraphs or a page's worth of content, summarizing the high-level findings of your research and your final recommendation regarding the go or no-go decision. Areas to cover in your executive summary, again briefly, could include the following: an overview of your restaurant, your projected revenue and profit, your projected costs and expenses, your break-even point in dollars and in time, the competitive advantage for your area, your market research and proof of concept, your go or no-go decision. Now let's move on to Section 2, the market overview and analysis. This section should highlight how feasible your restaurant idea is in the market you intend to serve. Just because the restaurant that inspired your idea does well in Los Angeles doesn't mean it will be an automatic success story in other places. A compelling market overview and analysis section will require thorough research into the current state of your intended market, both industrial and demographic. Some questions you might want to answer include the following. How saturated is the restaurant industry where you're looking to operate? If your area has an abundance of restaurants already, it can be hard to make a name for yourself. Conversely, a drought of restaurants might suggest your market isn't as receptive to restaurants as other areas. No matter what the current state of restaurants in your intended area is, be prepared to explain why your restaurant should make a splash there. Are there other similar restaurants in your area? Consider not just the type of food you're offering, but also the general concept. Let's say you're looking to open a fast casual Greek restaurant, and you think the area's millennial white-collar population that has expressed interest in ethnic cuisine would flock to your place. You'd be the only Greek spot in town, and that's great. However, if you open in an area with a dozen other fast casual restaurants, this could make it more difficult to grab a sustainable share of the fast casual market. What is the demographic of your market? This is where ideas meet reality. If you're looking to open a bar and cite the steady industry growth and annual revenue of $27 billion, you might be able to make it work. However, if you're pitching the idea in a suburb where 90% of households represent married couples with children under 18, you probably won't see the same sales if you opened that same bar in a city where 70% of the population is aged 22 to 35. Finding accurate information on your area's demographics can be tricky, but a good place to start is the government. For example, Census.gov links to numerous demographic reports and lists how often they're updated. You can also reach out to local city governments to see what information is available to you as an aspiring business owner. You could also look into conducting your own market surveys. Section 3 of your feasibility study is the business explanation. This is where you'll highlight your restaurant's concept, its cuisine type, and its competitive advantages. Speak to how and why it will appeal to the market you just outlined in the previous section. You'll also want to highlight what you'll personally be bringing to the venture. Are you an entrepreneur with multiple successful business launches? Do you have decades of restaurant experience you'll be bringing to the business? Are you partnering with a well-known chef who can elevate the prestige of the restaurant before it opens? All of these make your restaurant idea seem more feasible. Section 4 is an important section, the financial projections. This is the section investors will probably flip to immediately. They'll want to know their investments are likely to be made back, ideally several times over. This section is not one to shortchange. It should have supporting charts and documents like a pro forma income statement and a sales forecast, all with clear rationale for how you came to the numbers you've reached. You'll also have to outline your expected expenses, revenue, break-even point, and capital requirements. So let's talk about expenses. The cost of opening a restaurant can quickly add up. The median total startup costs will set you back $375,000. You'll have to look at immediate opening expenses like furniture and equipment, long-term fixed costs like rent and insurance, and long-term variable costs like food costs. List all of these expenses out. That's right, all of them. What they will cost and how you came to the cost. Consider referencing quotes and estimates from websites, realtors, contractors, and accountants you've consulted for added certainty. Now, let's talk about the part your investors will really be watching: revenue. Offer a complete breakdown of how much money you expect to make in the first year and where it will come from. You can base these numbers off projected menu prices, average guests served per day or week, and average ticket size, which in turn should be based off similar menu prices in the area and estimates from food providers. When it comes to revenue and financial projections, be hopeful but honest with your expectations. Your sales forecast should take into consideration the slow start your restaurant could face before your business becomes established in the eyes of your target market. Recognize that projected sales and expenses seldom match actual results in the first few weeks and months of operation. Roger Fields advises in his book Restaurant Success by the Numbers, it is much better to underestimate sales and overstate expenses than the other way around. Next, let's discuss your break-even point. Investors will want to know how quickly they'll get their money back. You'll be able to show them this with a break-even analysis, which determines how much food you'll need to sell and at what point in time your costs to open the business will be offset by the revenue you've generated. In the briefest of terms, break-even point in a restaurant is calculated by dividing total fixed costs by the difference between average revenue per guest and average variable cost per guest. And finally, let's talk about capital requirements. Your financial section should make it clear how much money is necessary to get this idea off the ground and how large of an investment you're seeking from investors. Here is where you may want to consider asking for working capital. As described by Fields in Restaurant Success by the Numbers, working capital is extra capital, a reserve fund if you wish to meet any unforeseen expenses and to keep the business afloat during the early months until it becomes profitable. In this section, you may want to reiterate a timeline for when investors can expect their money back, on top of the money they will continue to receive as a return on their investments. In Section 5, you wrap everything up with a compelling conclusion. This is the moment of truth. It's time to make a decision. By this point, you've covered all the findings pertaining to your market, your finances, and your leadership capabilities. Now it's time to come to a go or no-go decision. Based on what you learned from this study, do you still believe this is a feasible restaurant idea? Remember, a feasibility study is a vital part of the restaurant creation process. It's absolutely crucial that you do the research ahead of time to ensure your restaurant idea will work in the place you want to start it. Follow these steps, and I have no doubt you'll get the information you need to start a successful restaurant that you can be proud of. Thank you for watching. To receive updates on new videos, please subscribe to 7shifts YouTube channel and check out 7shifts Academy. And don't forget to check the video description for links to other useful resources.